It really is the tail of the sword and the shield here.
Well, let's see then, which will prevail? What is your weapon of choice as you load into the rift for game number 2? ANC lead this best of 5 with that initial win. And with some crucial adaptations being made here by Bliss, is this the game that helps to reset the mental?
You really need it. You really do need that breaker. Obviously, having lost 4 games in a row, all in playoffs, is no easy feat to come back from. And so Team Bliss have returned to comfort here. The Aphelios for Violet, something we haven't really been seeing so much of, especially in this AD carry meta. As the hook will land, a little bit of poke onto Ryoma, but nothing much to follow. Kind of deja vu from last game, Skimmy, where Draku walked into the mid lane through the hook and got a little bit of a poke out. Now, this will be effective in either dampening Ryoma's lane in terms of taking a bit of HP out, or actually forcing him back to base. He will manage to stay in lane as Harry walks up, drops a ward, and gets vision of Swiper. So this Poppy start will be known to Team Bliss.
Be very happy with the way things have functioned. What is Antig up to this time around? Hanging out in that tri-bush, waiting to see if anybody would poke their head into lane. Certainly giving both the likes of Violet and Scott something to consider. And they do see that they pop up, perhaps feigning that a ward was placed in there to deter Why Not off poking his head into this lane, at least pre-level 6. But certainly, they need to find some stability in this lane, given that it was the Lucian army that fell behind in a straight 2v2. No jungle pressure, just an unforced air rip. And into that of a reliable Xayah Rakan, you're hoping that the Aphelios can excel.
Yeah, we'll have to check in with the lane state once again. As you can see, the mid lane all firmly in control of Harry and this Orianna. That's one of the standards that you know you're going to get with this matchup, is the early push. Now, how did Team Bliss use this? Obviously, they weren't able to find any invades last game. Why Not looked for one, but was shut down. This time on the Nocturne, would be able to outpace the Poppy if he does so choose. Now, the limiting factor is that bot lane priority. You can see King and Draku have the shove, which means that even though he knows where Poppy is, he knows where Swiper is clearing to, he won't be able to find that little invade. So just leveraging that Xayah Rakan counter pick here to be able to find value. As Violet, yeah, looking to scale up. That's one of the things that Balios can struggle with in this matchup, is those early game 2v2s where he doesn't have the power to keep up with that empowered Xayah Rakan. As the game goes on, he feels more and more confident in terms of being able to machine gun back with all the DPS that he provides. Jonas once again though, every game feels like he has this early priority and is going to use it to spot out Why Not here.
Certainly is. 4 games played of the champion this split. It's his most played in his entire career with 18. It's a big reason why it was denied and why it certainly should be feared. And it will very much be like Twisted Fate, especially in this early laning phase, right? A big lane bully, but the big turning point will be level 6, right? And the ability to say, well, can Biolane close the distance? And who will actually offer more impact once those team fights come around?
That's one thing I've always loved about Zoranus on Gnar, is the fact that he always seems to have his mega timing perfectly synced up with whatever objective is to come. So not only is he able to be that side lane threat, you imagine heading towards a Tabis potentially first to avoid any death going from a Nocturne gank. For the time being, though, Swiper is going to scatter a little bit into the jungle here. 2 really nice wards, going to completely map out Why Not's clear and buy his bot lane all this information. That's really what you want to do here with that push coming out from King and Draku, is enable them to continue to be these menaces, enable them to continue to be able to look for 2v2s, because that's how you create this pressure. That's how hopefully you'll be able to get a move up towards this mid lane like we're seeing now.
Does look like Scott may have just scooted past that vision line that would have been planted by Antic, so Draku gonna walk in here. She has some spidey senses and decide against it at the very last moment, whereas Ryoma gets a chance to try and answer back into Harry, who's lagging behind, waiting for that mana to be regen back up. We'll show the midway first as Scott pokes his head into the lane and never really threatening with a dredge line. Just letting them know that if a fight were to occur, it will just be that straight out 2v2 as King is very healthy in the bot lane as they wrestle control here and making sure that Violet with the blue-purple setup will have push power, but could be under threat as a result.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward situation here for Team Bliss, and you can see they have to bring Why Not down. Violet hasn't been able to get a reset, whereas King's gone back to base and picked up 2 longswords. So combat power certainly in the favor of Antic. And as for the time being, it only really is the threat of Why Not being in the area that is keeping from a 2v2 breaking out. Now mid lane, you can see TP expended by Harry to get back into lane, picked himself up a 12 CS lead now, is chunking Ryoma once again. Gonna look for it, but Swiper's here.
Yeah, Swiper hovering. They know that they're getting dangerously close to level 6, about to find it in the next wave. By having both TP back to the lane, it's going to be Roma forced to go back. He knows that he cannot afford to greed with level 6 just around the corner. You can see that's a champion that has been so feared throughout this entire split. Yeah, it's a lane bully, and it was permanently banned away up until tonight. You can understand that they want it as a first pick priority because they want to make sure the star mid laner can actually offer some control.
And right now he's up 22 CS in this pure 1v1, doing a very nice job of handling Ryoma. The thing that they weren't really able to find in their previous affair, though, was any advantage off of this push, off of this priority. Now, obviously the trade did come through for the Grubs last game, but still it just was that CS lead going in favor of Hayri. Now, the similar situation as we take a look back towards the bot lane, Berserker's Greaves will be the pickup for Violet here, battling the mobility, able to kite in and out of this Zyra Khan. And all across the board, not a kill to be had yet. And all the gold lead really is resting here in the mid lane.
It certainly is, yeah. That is the big difference maker at this stage. Nothing really dividing these two teams as to be expected. It's been very much a calm affair in the very first game, with what we had like 3 kills in 15 minutes. Much more methodical. Micro outplay, setting up waves and looking for what they can achieve, but that's a beautiful scoop on back. And then the steadfast presence, looking to prevent him from finding much more. The flash comes out thereafter, but by that point, the damage had already been done. A shockwave on their head, really just there to tickle them.
Beautiful play from Ryoma and Swiper, combining the Emperor's Divide with a Poppy stun, but ultimately there's not enough damage to get the one-shot onto Hayri. He's able to cast the shockwave flash and get out relatively even in terms of health here. Now, why not? He will be spotted. It does have the Paranoia available if he wants to use it, but there's no shockwave for that combo. So despite Ryoma not having flash, he does still feel relatively safe on this Azir.
Yeah, waiting to find the ultimate impact with that champion. We always talk about it, Nocturne. Certainly is obsessed with gaining value from that one. Thank you very much for the leash to Swiper. Game over is how Why-Not feels about that one. Unable to really exert his carry style clear speeds, but he is going to wrap around here and see what he can find onto the red buff. It's on Vision. So no love lost between these two, and with Roma for what feels like the umpteenth time now is bullied out of lane, forced to go back, and is unable to offer any kind of reprieve for the second time. Then Swiper guarantees it, and even the top laners were soon to get involved.
I'm not sure what Wino was actually thinking there. He had no smite that whole time, perhaps trying to bluff Swiper into delaying the buff. But ultimately will just waste a fair bit of time there in trying to look for an invade. So nice little response from Swiper, and finally, you know, there's a smite going in the favor of Antic.
Yeah, he's going to be very happy about that one. Absolutely. And you've heard it from him in these interviews. It feels pretty bad. Doesn't have that many reps on the roll. But it's incredible to be on a team as stacked as this and to still find yourself in this position where it hasn't ultimately mattered too much. Still, nothing much to separate these two teams, apart from that great divide in the mid lane. But the question does become, what can Hayri achieve with this? And can he look to try and link up with Why-Not to get that combo online nice and early?
You'd absolutely hope so. And towards the mid lane is where we really are expecting that to come out, right? Ryoma still has no flash for about 2.5 minutes here. And that will be syncing up with the Dragon timer. So if there's any point at which they're looking to make use of that synergy, I would expect it to be around there. But you can see Antic, they realize this. They're so good at defensively warding here to make sure that every single spot Why-Not could be looking to ult from, at least from that bot side, is completely controlled. So for the time being, we'll just be relegated to clearing his camps. Now, decently on pace, but only a camp ahead of Swiper here on this Poppy. And it might be a similar trade to what we saw before. 3 grubs in the inventory for Team Bliss, but 1 Dragon picked up for Antic. Means that either way, the objectives would certainly swing in favor strongly of one of these teams.
Certainly would do. All it takes is that quick invitation with a pick to be found to sway the numbers balance and then really open the floodgates as a result. One thing that I've noticed, and I think it's worth mentioning here, Max, would be the fact that whilst Team Bliss struggled in attending those side lanes last game, with this addition of the Nocturne, so much easier for them to force that numbers mismatch. You don't have the destiny of a Twisted Fate to try and jump all over the show and push the pressure anywhere near as much as a Nart. We'll hold that fort though for 2 seconds, because once again the combo is there. You scoop him back, you give him a charm, you hit the shockwave, and that ultimate gets denied mid-animation. So first blood, finally, going the way of Antic.
2 people couldn't find the kill. How about 3? Antic, they bring Swiper and Draku down, and this time they will find the flashless Hayri. And off the back of that, King's in the area as well. They're going to look to take these grubs. At least one's taken Team Bliss, so they're posturing in the area. Look at Biopanther's position here. I don't think they want to give these over for free.
They certainly do not. They're going to commit multiple members. The lights go out. Biden says it's my time to shine. He goes in for those all-impactful Q ults. The Shockwave is there too. And they say you can take two Void Grubs. We'll just take 2 kills instead. They're looking for another as Swiper relegates himself to the grey screen. Just like that, all the blood comes to life.
Beautiful collapse from Team Bliss. They realize that they have the TP on Hayri. They can force a numbers mismatch, and they do absolutely that. Biopanther with the flank, as well as Hayri TPing in, secures the backline access that can be so hard to get with the comp of Antic, and they will take down 3 kills as a response. You can see the grub falls here, but look at Bio. He's completely unseen at this point, and why not a fantastic flash. Knows that King has one of his own, so if he was able to use that to get out of the tether, he could have escaped. Instead, that won't be coming through. And Swiper, of course, a Poppy. Yes, you have that steadfast presence, but when you're getting permanently slowed, what can you do? Hold on, Hayri's getting found.
We are looking for more. Fantastic flash, dodges the grand entrance, ripping back the feathers, doesn't find the route that King was after. And Hayri will get to limp away on that occasion. Whilst we do get a moment, though, it is worth mentioning that was a beautiful setup there from Team Bliss to try and steady those nerves and at least wrangle back some control in this series.
Yeah, finally the gold lead going in their favor. They also managed to pick up the Dragon as well, so equalizing on that front. And it does feel like the game 1 loss hasn't gotten to them too badly. Still willing to pull the trigger. That being said, though, you can see Antic with this first move into bot lane will be looking to crack some turret plates here. They've moved King up. There's no ultimate, no flash yet on this Xayah. That Featherstorm will be coming up at a similar time as the Paranoia. And with just 1 Void Grub left, you can see either jungler wanting to sneak in here and grab it.
But they certainly do. Making it 3 for 3 is what we saw last game, and certainly seeming to be the case so far, as still Antic have more members in the area. It's Violet locked in a 1v1 into Zoranus, which makes it a bit of an awkward one as they jump across Scott's hook. That doesn't mean anything. Zoranus says, well, I've got a TP, so it's going to be a 5v4, a fight where you'll just simply have no AD carry. And the Keeper's Verdict knocking back 2. They isolate out Wydot. They say the Paranoia won't achieve much this time. And they get back 2 very important kills. Now, Zoranus locked inside that mini, ever so close to Mega, is forced to flash himself as they jump in with a 2-man grand entrance. And Draco says, come on, boys, let's get more. The bloodshed is yet to end. As one goes left, the other goes right, and Bio, unfortunately, is forced to fall down.
An incredibly bloody affair, but it's Antic who ultimately draw the favor of that play. The initial kill onto King is good, who doesn't have the ultimate off of cooldown, but really it is the numbers mismatch forced by Zoranus that enables this play to go so heavily in the favor of Antic. Let's take a look once again. The charm and all this CC is laid onto Hayri effectively. Traded back really well though onto King, who dies on this Xayah about 2 seconds before that Featherstorm comes off cooldown. But look at the Keeper's Verdict. Does such a good job of separating the fight, allowing Zoranus to find that isolated kill onto Hayri. And then here the hook, they want to kill Zoranus before he's able to get Mega, but a really nice flash creates distance, baiting Team Bliss in. And really Antic, I think they're a little bit split on the decision as to whether to commit forwards, and it ultimately will be Biopanther who pays for the sins of his team, gets stunned, thrown into a wall, and taken down to equalize the kills.
It was just a matter of burning every summoner available to really eke out any kind of an advantage they could achieve themselves. A beautiful forced play there by Draku to find that 2-man knock-up. Say the fight's not done just yet, we want more. You saw the entire time there, out of that replay was Violet pushing his bot wave. He didn't unfortunately be able to get that tower, but he would have achieved a wealth of gold from all those plates found. It does still keep us in a very even game state.
Yeah, incredibly 900 only between the teams. Items across the board, relatively even. I think the big ones to point out are the Kraken Slayer now coming on board for King as gold. Once again, Zoranus on top, but by no means is he rapidly ahead. You can see only about 50 between him and Ryoma, and then 100 between Bard. It does drop off a little bit after that as the carries of Team Bliss, particularly the solo laners, are lagging a little bit behind. But so far, still a very competitive affair, and this is one thing Antic have been incredibly good at, is making room for their split pushes, making room here for Ryoma in the side lane. And it is once again BioPanther who's going to be relegated. They're picking on this underfed Aatrox and really using that as a way to further their advantage in the game.
They certainly are, and I think you raise a really good point, right? The ability for Antic to command so much pressure on the map that their split-pushing threats are always going to be reliable, right? How many times have we seen throughout the regular split where somebody wants to split push? It's just not that easy because waves aren't prepped in a way that is sustainable for them to get away with it untouched, because you can see he can hit that wave. You can see that why not? Even the bot lane of Bliss is looking for a 4-man dive topside, but they just can't find him.
No, they can't at all, and Antic on the bottom side will have complete control here. You can see that broad swiper down, and the Sun Disc Summon is really going to make sure that this bot lane is pushed in very heavily ahead of this next Dragon Spawn. There are 30 seconds on it, and you'd imagine Team Bliss would be loving to get Hayri down to potentially whip out a nice little Orianna Nocturne combo, and pinged on the wave. You can see Team Bliss, they want to fight, but that warded mid lane is doing such a good job of spotting them out before the play even starts.
Certainly is. Really keeping the eyes in the sky in all the right places. It's once again forcing Bio to respond to these waves while she try and invest all that time topside. Ryoma split pushing bot. And again, you find yourself in this game of cat and mouse. Is that we just want to get you. We just want to force a fight on our terms. We just want to land this Orianna Nocturne combo, or at least allow Scott to start things off here with that dredged line, but denied time and time again. Also a little bit of frustration out of them. And their answer has always been, well, let's force an objective and get them to group up.
They're going to bait here. Scott potentially fishing for a dredge line, but just gets stunned.
Gets stunned up against the wall, goes Scott. The lights go out to try and protect him as he's not going to be tanky enough. Unfortunately, he just simply gets knocked on down by the Poppy Hammer. In jumps Swine up, but Roma goes Golden, denies that tether and has no flash, so doesn't even need to burn that. Shockwave onto one. Swiper flashes away. The one shot that Harry is going to try to achieve is not to be found. And the Profane Hydra item spike Aatrox unable to snipe anybody on the tail end.
Every single ultimate from Team Bliss used there, and they can't even find a kill. It's a fantastic counter engage coming out from Swiper and Draku. And keep in mind that whole time it's a 4v5. Zoranus is breaking your turrets in the top lane, continuing to further his gold lead. And yes, the Dragon will go in favor of Team Bliss, but what can they find on the back end? Hold on here, Zoranus will be potentially caught, but there's no shockwave to find him. He's just going to hop out to safety. And now we take a look once again. Scott wants to find a hook here, but look at his positioning. He positions himself right next to the wall, and that is perfect for Swiper. He's very happy to find this. Draku is the real MVP of his play. Look at the initial charm, dashing onto Swiper, and then the grand entrance on the backline. That just buys so much time where these carries aren't hitting. And that means that Scott gets to be killed basically for free here. Harry getting zoned by Swiper, not able to get the ball and chain it with the shockwave out of that tether. So really the combo is completely disrupted. Antic, they can kite back with this disengage comp, and they won't lose a single member.
And as you say, that's phenomenal, given it was a 4v5 for Antic. They get the kill, but they don't lose any members in the process. It's no easy feat, but they managed to pull it off. You can see that still Bliss, with the Herald online, are going to be forced to summon it in the mid lane to find their first turret of the game, knowing that Zoranus is going to continue to split push all day long. And yes, we can talk about Antic being one-dimensional, but it's working in their favor. This macro split push is really causing Bliss some issues.
And this is a different style that we're seeing from them, right? Typically they do just favor that death ball grouped up strategy in a 5v5, but now it's this side lanes that have really been working in their favor. Team Bliss seem a little bit behind, a little bit unsure of how to respond. Because right now, if you look at these lane assignments, Orianna is in danger of getting ran down by Nah, who's completed 2 items. Aatrox can't walk up to Azir, who just outranges him. And so on either side of the map, you really just do lose the push. That creates a very awkward situation in mid lane where, okay, you want to be fighting with this Nocturne, but ultimately you never have the members there to back him up.
You don't, yeah, and it's definitely causing them to second guess themselves at the best of times, right? Because it's another game where Harry can do so much individually, but was unable to profit from what was a very good laning phase. Going to be that jungle support link up between Scott and Wynot as they once again look towards top lane. That tower still has a fair amount of HP left, but Draku not too far behind is calling for his team to back him up. He summons the quickness, he jumps in, the tether gets broken, the grand entrance goes out, and everybody's here. Ryoma scoops back too, not in tower range, but they'll still get that initial kill! And Ryoma hanging on just for dear life, but Zoranus now goes 4-0 on this Gnar, once again showing you why he is so good, getting a triple kill. This guy really is going to try to be the star of the show tonight.
Give him the triple kill, give him the Baron as well here, Skimmy. Antic did such a good job of answering that play decisively. Ryoma comes in, fantastic Emperor's Divide, comboed with the Gnar, and that really does secure them the team fight win here. Biopanther, no ult, no summoner spells. Violet does have both the Ghost and Flash, but there's no Moonlight Vigil. They're going to try to stop it.
They're going to try and stop it. It's going to be between Biopanther and Violet to make the unthinkable happen. We've seen Smite Steals happen before, but it's not going to happen tonight here, Max. Draku low, dashing across the wall. The Blast Cone, be it the Chemtech map, makes it so easy to disengage away from. And the hero that lands the Smite is the one to fall on down.
Swiper will fall on down, but you will absolutely pay that price every day of the week. That Baron picked up basically as close to 20 minutes as you could hope. And here we go once again, Scott. Ult flashing to get the initial pick, but where is the damage here? Flash coming out from Zonas to negate it. And look at this combo. Ryoma with the Flash, really finding so much value with his Emperor's Divide because it enables the stun to come out from Zonas. And then Team Bliss, they're so overcommitted into the territory of Antic that all they can do is run. Yes, Biopanther finds that kill on the back end, but it doesn't mean much when your whole team's dead.
It doesn't mean much whatsoever. Here's a little funny fact for you, Max, where, I mean, it probably doesn't have much context, but if you look at the best Gnars in the world right now for Season 14, 4 games played by Zoranus, he's 100% on that win rate. He's got an 11.0 KDA. Nobody in the world even comes close to him, so bit of a beast. Yeah, we can claim for a second that we had the best Gnar player in the world. We'll take that one out of context. It doesn't really matter, but right now he's 5-0, so let's live with it.
Yeah, you'll absolutely live with it, and you'll live with all the side lane pressure he's able to create. Antic, this time with the Baron, are very aggressive in hitting on towards these turrets. You can see Team Bliss a little bit behind in rotations as hold on.
Once again, they look for the kill on towards Zoranus, and he's not been able to bounce out of harm's way this time. The kill's going to come on through, nearly why not dying in the process, but it allows Antic with this Baron buff to still set up a siege. As it stands so far, this Baron, what feels like the second time in a row, hasn't really achieved much for Antic. Their gold lead is only still a 2k favor, but they will just disengage away and look to deny Soul Point.
I mean, Skimmy, why did you have to say he's the best Gnar in the world? Why did you have to talk about how good his KDA is? Literally the second you do that, he falls down. As Antic, though, undeterred by this temporary numbers disadvantage, they will still be looking at this dragon. They know roughly where Hayri is. He's coming out of base now. Now, keep in mind, the TP is available for Zoranus, but this dragon is burning down rapidly.
Dragon's going down very, very quickly. Draco looking to try and zone back Biopanther, so no chance to get themselves an early Soul Point here. 2 apiece, much like game 1 again. So many similarities, and similarly with the outcome as well, but still it is Antic with the 2k lead.
Yeah, they will have it. Actually, a negative Baron Gold power play you can see, largely due to shutdown from Zoranus going over. That's a fat 1,000 gold that they won't be getting back. Now, you can see they actually have the inside track on this mid lane here with just 15 seconds left on this Baron. They won't be able to find it, but Zoranus is looking.
Yep, they're certainly going to look to try and hunt on towards their key target, which is take away King. He burns the Featherstorm, baits them all in. Why not force to flash away, as does King too. Moonlight Vigil and a flanking Aphelios. Not very often you get to see that every day, but the Feathers get ripped back, the killer's taken, and Zoranus leaps into the backline, as does Ryoma, scooping back the Aatrox. Biopanther not long for this world, as Swiper takes a 1v1 into his old Order teammate.
Yeah, Biopanther here going to try to get out, but this is a very fast Gnar. He's going to run him down with the Boomerang, and there comes the shutdown. Once again, Team Bliss just unable to find that initial engage. Violet will remain alive, and you're thankful that you do have some form of wave clear, but ultimately a successful disengage from this side of Antic. They'll continue to grow this gold lead. And yes, you take down King, but really, Skimmy, this game, he hasn't been the main problem.
He hasn't been the main problem. You can see that they burn the ultimate nice and early. He just trades with an ultimate of his own, and by that point, they're so invested in getting this kill, they just allow the likes of Antic to respond back stronger.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, look at Ryoma's positioning here, and all the while, Zoranus is able to get the freest TP in of his life. A fantastic Gnar, hitting onto Hayri and killing Why Not, and then the scoop back. That is going to enable this eventual chase down on towards Bio, and Violet can do nothing but watch. Yes, this is Aphelios is very fed, but he can't DPS. He doesn't have the front line. They're all dead, and he can do nothing but watch as his top laner gets ran down.
And it just feels like such a crime to say, but for a team like Team Bliss to be so strong during the regular split, they've just lost their edge. They've perhaps peaked too early, to say the least. It feels so bizarre to say that, but they're looking a little bit shell-shocked here. certainly towards the tail end of last night's series, and that's carried across into tonight as well, down by 3,000 in this game 2. And they've got, well, 90 seconds now to lay down a trap, find that vision, potentially set up for another Baron.
That's what they want to look for here. You can see Scott getting very aggressive on this Nautilus, but with all the DPS that's available on the side of Antic, one wrong hook, and he is just going to go down. Once again, Hayri confined to the side lane here. Why not? Lucky that he's very fast, able to get out there, but it's Antic who are pressuring here. They know they have a temporary numbers advantage, and they're going to use that to take in here and take firm control of the vision.
Certainly are going to be a small item advantage for Hayri at the moment in that mid lane matchup, as to be expected. Going to rush that Rabadon's cap first before Roma can achieve that of his own. Sitting on those 2 rods for the meantime. But that isn't the major concern right now, because it is all about this Gnar, you'd have to say. Incredibly strong. Good toggle from the vision of our observers there, highlighting the fact that Team Bliss do have a bit of an inside track as to knowing if that Baron is being started or not. But yeah, I mean, Zorinus really is having the series of his life.
He is topping gold once again here on the Gnar. 7-1 in he is. He has the flash available. That's one of the biggest things here. You can see just hovering on the verge of proccing Mega here is so important in terms of the team fighting ability. Something like that gives you. Biopanther's sitting on a ward here. So often this series, it feels like these little wards have caught Team Bliss off guard and really been the deciding factor. So Antic, they should have full knowledge that Team Bliss are looking to bait something here. The Baron hasn't actually been started. It might be now though.
And it certainly will do. They say we're not going to fall for any kind of cheese trap. Ward bush tactics. Scott is waiting. Lurking as is Biopanther hunting for a flank. Draco with the quickness active instantly goes in with a flash charm onto one. Harry removed the shockwave, and you may just simply win the fight. Out comes the Paranoia, but they're not jumping in. He bides his time, gets scooped straight back, and Aatrox is dead. It's a double for the king of Shurima, as Roma is really showing you why you must deny him of this champion. You can kill him in the lane, you can put him so far behind, but when it comes to team fights, that's when he wins.
And they don't even need the Baron. You can see the TPs are coming in. Harry's going to try to get his off.
It's not going to happen, unfortunately, as quick as the TP would be. It's our first ace of game 2.
It's the first ace, and it might be the last one as well. Ryoma cracking this inhibitor here. They've put King towards the top lane. So the game isn't going to end just now, but nonetheless, a massive fight in the favor of Antic. The engage is a little bit disjointed from Bliss. They're able to turn very quickly onto Biopanther, kill him before he has a chance to do any damage. And now it's really an overwhelming gold lead. They always have the opportunity to turn back towards the Baron, which they're doing right now. It's pretty slow with just these champions, but they'll get it in the end.
Talk about value extracted out of a play like that, Max. You've walked into the enemy base, taken so much, and really are living your best life. Let's run it back again. Hats off to Draco, he's really been impressive.
Yeah, he does. He gets the initial fight onto Hayri, who's forced to flash out as a response. Now look at Biopanther. He's got a great position, but in an instant he is blown up there. Very squishy is this Aatrox. Zorinus using that window to get a flash onto Violet as well. Gnar doing so much work in the backline that ultimately Team Bliss aren't able to find this 5v5 front to back condition. Plain and simple, the fights are just ending too quickly. And that means that even Hayri at the back end of this fight, he's unable to get out. The Baron, inhibitor, turrets all going over to Antic.
And they certainly are. An 8k gold lead now as they look to pinch onto Hayri. The lights go out to protect him, but the TP comes in. They jump upon one key target. The charm goes out and one is instantly dead. That spell shoot offering no chance to get out of harm's way. Their initial kill was remove the Soriana, and it's exactly what they'll find. The shockwave does nothing. Gives them really a bit of a headache here as the grand entrance once again locks them in place. The Fedophilia can only watch from afar as he says, I can't do much, team. I can't kill anyone.
He can't do anything there. Antic are so quick to collapse that even all the resources that are committed to try to save Hayri will not be anywhere near enough. Another 3 kills found, and this time they're going to be looking to expose the only inhibitor that they haven't already cracked here. They've got a wave in this bot lane. They're looking for their triple inhib.
And they certainly are. 2 inhibs and a Baron now into that final push in the bot lane with another 90 seconds left of this buff. You get another pick, the game simply ends. That is the trifecta. The super minions now will be overwhelming and Team Bliss will be locked inside their base. There's nowhere to run or hide, certainly not in this series if you go down 2-0 against a match point. But they're going to have to find an answer and find it quick.
Well, they can just stay here, Antic. They've got this Baron for another minute, and Wave's pushing in every single lane now. What can Team Bliss do? They've got the Orianna Nocturne combo available. They're going to have to pull the trigger.
One last chance, the Shockwave goes out, the Nocturne combo is there, but they don't find the one-shot onto King. They simply immune it. Dreku runs away, his job is complete, they find all they need, the base is in shambles, and so are Team Bliss. The Nexus is exposed at 30 minutes, Antic are on match point.
They'll finally find the combo, but